Good evening. Welcome to the Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Pressbox podcast presented by Team FYN Sports. Joined now, as always, by Jeff K at the Jeff K on Twitter and Coach Mark Stone. Guys, it was a good week of football last week, and let's start with a game that was Jeff K covered. Maybe not what it was supposed to be covered on the Coca-Cola Red Zone, but that's where they went. Bradley Central went on the road to Cleveland and beat Cleveland 28-14. Jeff K, talk a little bit about that game that you were at.
Yeah, Wes, like you said, we were supposed to be at the 2A showdown between Tyner and Marion County, but COVID issues in the Marion County school system really, much less the program, pushed that game to into October. But what better game to kind of as a backup game of the week for the Red Zone with this battle for Bradley County. Like you said, Bradley Central pulled away from Cleveland in the second half, won 28-14. Guys, actually, Cleveland had a 14-7 lead at the half, and had just gotten a touchdown, with less than 30 seconds to go to get that lead, and really the second half, it was all Bradley Central. They had an almost 7-minute drive to begin the second half, tied the game at 14. Then on the very next possession, quarterback Drew Lambert for Cleveland threw a pick six, and Bradley Central ran about 35 yards back to the house, and the momentum was turned right then and there. That little momentum Cleveland had at the end of the half was wiped away in about 7.5 minutes into the second half for the Bears, and they got another pick six in the fourth quarter actually to make that 14-point difference. So you take away those 2 points or those two pick sixes, it's a tie game for sure. But Bradley Central just find a way to win, man. This is their 7th straight victory in this series, and they went to 3-0 on the year, and Cleveland dropped their first game of the season on Friday night. But just a great atmosphere, and until it kind of got out of hand, it was a great football game between two great 6A powers. So congratulations to Coach Floyd and the Bradley Central Bears for sure.
It was good having Coach Floyd on the podcast last week and get his thoughts, and then seeing them go on the road and beat Cleveland. Some other area scores from last week as I look here. Central beat Saudi Daisy 8-7. That's Central's first win of the season. East Hamilton big over East Ridge 49-0. Jackson County 27, Sale Creek 20. That's the first true home game at Sale Creek in the school history. Ray County beats McMinn County 34-20. Walker Valley beats Ooltewah 48-7. That's their first victory over Ooltewah in school history. McCallie 34, MBA 31. Knox Catholic 31, Baylor 21. Kingston 45, Brainerd 6, so a good reason to win for Kingston there. Knox Webb 44, Notre Dame 0. Then the game that I covered last week on the radio with 99.5 WYGO. McMinn Central goes on the road to Signal Mountain. Signal Mountain wins 17-15. Now we're going to be pleased to join by head coach of Signal Mountain, Coach Josh Roberts. Coach Roberts, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're good. A true defensive battle there that first half. Let me tell you, it was back and forth defense. You guys led 10-3 at halftime. What kind of walk us through that first half? What were your thoughts about the first half there?
Our defense in our first 3 games, they've given up 29 points in 3 games, and I don't care who your opponent is. You give up less than 10 points a game, you got a good chance of winning. And so, that's one of our big things is play really good defense, offense, set them up if we have to, make them go the distance. And that was one of the things that helped. We were winning the field position battle, and in a defensive game, that's one of the things I tell the guys all the time that, just because you don't score, you put the defense back. I don't like calling plays from my own 5-yard line, 3-yard line, and so it just changes the way you do things. And so defense did really well. We moved the football up. We were in the red zone, 5 different times during the game. We just got down there and just kind of bogged down, and so some of it was, majority of it was our fault. We were messing up on some things, and third game, it's still kind of one of those things. You sit there, everybody's like, "Oh, that shouldn't happen." It still does. Third game, and so we're getting better. I'm glad that we're getting in the red zone. Everybody's talks about how you didn't score, but at least you're getting there. At least you're not in back at your own 20, punting the whole game. So, we got some things to work on at offense. We switched from the wing tee to spread within the last 4 weeks here, and so we've done really well with the change. And so we still got a few things to work on.
Well, you got a score to make it 17-9. And then Central comes back with less than a minute in the football game and scores to make it 17-15, and needing only a 2-point conversion to tie. Now, Central they did this same thing last week against Tellico. I don't know if you knew this. Central scored with 33 seconds left against Tellico, needing a 2-point conversion to tie. So they've been in this situation, and your defense held them there. How big was that 2-point play? Obviously, it keeps them from tying, but man, I mean, to see your defense step up and make that play, just how big was it?
Yeah, I mean, we had seen it on film, and in high school from the 3-yard line, I'm sure it's a lot less in NFL and college, but in high school it's pretty much a 50-50 play, and from the 3 there, and we were in that situation last week. Saudi Daisy took the lead on us with a 2-point conversion. So, we talked about different things of, what do we need to do in that situation? And that's one of those where, we go through it defensively and talk. But the big thing is when we got in the huddle, I went in and told them, I said, this is what you prepare yourself for, this moment right here. I said, this is where we separate the men and the boys, because some people can deal in this moment, some people cannot, and so I said, we'll find out what kind of team we got right here, and what I, the great thing is talking about culture, is that we had guys in the huddle who were stepping up and talking, and it was not negative. It was, there's just been a different feel this year in the way the language we're using, the body language, and the way we're protecting each other's back. And it showed in that situation, because everybody did their job exactly the way they were supposed to do it. Couldn't have drawn it up better.
Great. Coach Stone, that's your famous question.
Well, I was just going to have a comment. You got teams that year to year you can drive the ball 20-20. You can get down inside the 10, and it becomes difficult for some reason. But I was just thinking when Coach Roberts said that, what the kids were saying, their body language and stuff. That's a sign of maturity, and there didn't seem like there was any hesitation about your football team of what they were going to. They were not going to give this play up, and I thought it was a testament to you guys, and the way you played and played that. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they was saying, McMinn Central's been in that position twice already, and it's not with a minute or two in the game, but you run into that offensively. I think Coach Roberts probably, sometimes it's just a confidence thing, and I thought you guys handled it pretty well or very well to win the football game. Of course, the only thing they could do was tie it up, but I was very impressed with you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, go ahead. Come in here.
Well, Josh, we've talked off and on, just off air through text about. I kind of give you guys the cardiac kids. Well, the last 2 weeks have definitely shown. Obviously you can drive down the field and win the game offensively. Like you did against Saudi Daisy there at the end. But on Friday, I mean, do you kind of? I know you kind of mentioned like, hey, this is where you separate the men from the boys. But did you bring up that game against Saudi Daisy on that final 2-point play against Men's Central, or is it kind of just a whole new set of like circumstances saying, hey, this isn't the same as last week? Or what were you telling your kids specifically, like, going back to the week before, or was it just a whole new, motivational speech, I guess you could say?
Yeah. I know it's coach speak, but, once we have the 24-hour rule, and once we watch that film on Monday, anybody who starts talking about last week's game, we just go ahead and we just, it's over, done. I don't care if you won, lost, we're moving on. So we really didn't, we talked about the situation during practice, but, it's really, we've in the past, I took over this is my 5th year. In the beginning, Coach Stone, you were talking about McMinn Central, and Matt and I were talking about before the game. When you take over a program, there's some growing pains where you get there and you're on the verge and you just can't get over the hump, and so I tell the guys, in that moment, you're not where we've been. This is year 5, and we're starting to see the change where, each week we're doing what we're supposed to do to win the game. And used to that, we were on the opposite end of that. And that's one of those testaments, really, guys, to keeping coaches together for 5 years. There's consistency, and so the kids know what to expect. When there's a lot of turnover, they can change things. But it's a testament to our kids really buying in, Jeff, to what we're preaching. They're high school kids, and they've got a million other things on their mind, but they're really taking that to heart, and they want to be great this year, and every team wants to be, but these guys are actually doing the extra things it takes, and that's the team that can be special.
One of the hardest things I think you can do is, as a head coach, I would take about a 15-minute period on Wednesday, and we would go over, here's what we're going to do if we need a 2-point conversion. We might have 3. We may have 4 different plays, but you can't find. I mean, you saw a McMinn Central 2-point play from the week before, and that was a quarterback sneak, right?
Right.
And defensively, you go into that period in your practice time. And those kids are looking at you, and you're looking at those kids and saying, here's what I think they may do. We haven't seen any 2-point plays, and I thought that was a great testament to your defense, because they did something entirely different on that 2-point conversion than you had seen. And sometimes you go all year long and you never see an offense run a 2-point conversion in a scouting report, and that was what I always told my teams, is you got to rely on your coaching here. Don't let receivers inside, just do your responsibility, because we don't know what they're going to do. You better be looking for a reverse or whatever. And I'll tell you one quick one. I went to a coaching clinic my first year, and we was over at Clemson, and I think Danny Ford was over there. I believe that's who it was. There was a high school coach got up there, and he said, if a football team gets the ball inside the 1, send all 11 players. He said, there's not a high school coach alive. Now, they may be today. That was 30 years ago. There's not a high school coach alive inside the 1-yard line going to raise up and try to throw the ball. They're going to get run out of town. They throw some sort of incomplete pass. And I got to do it one night. I actually got to do it. I looked over, and my son was our defensive coordinator, and I looked over and I said, here it is, run Cougar. And all of a sudden, we smashed that guy right in the mouth with about 4 people off tackle, and we held them on downs. It was 4th down and about 2 foot, and after the game, all the coaches were saying, but if they had scored right there, they would have been ahead of us. I said, but if we'd have done all those other things, we might have given them a gap to run through, and we just took it all away. And that's things that you got to do. And you guys are in that situation. You didn't know what Coach Moody was going to do, and your kids and their maturity showed on that one play.
Thank you. Something we talked about in January and everything is, I'm a big believer in the Navy SEALs quote that they have is, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall back to your training. And, and so in that situation, we have no clue, if they're A gap, C gap, they're going to throw it. Our big thing is, like you said, corners, don't let them inside, linebackers, read your keys, ends, if you're in the C gap, stay in the C gap, set it, and if we do those things, we can't guarantee victory, but we can raise our chances.
Yeah, I agree.
Kids want to be a hero, and that if everybody will do their job, then if they earn it and they score, they earned it. But don't give them anything, or you do like you were talking about. You come after. We've done that too on 2-point conversions. I just told the defense coordinator, I said, send them. He was like, "You sure?" And I said, "I'm the head coach. If it's on me at this point, man."
That's what I said. It's my fault. If it doesn't, I will be the first to tell anybody it's my fault. I sent them. But it's very. It's nerve wracking. Give you an ulcer, but I really did. I thought y'all played well, and like I said, you hadn't seen a whole lot what they might do down there. We played a ball game a few years ago in which there was like 8 or 10 2-point conversions. It was a ball game, Fannin County and East Hall, and we won the ball game 63-61. Unbelievable high school game. Onside kicks galore. And it just. But I thought it was very good. Well, that gets you a leg up on the region, right, Coach?
Yeah, we're 1-0 right now. That was our first goal, is to win that first region game, and then then we'll big opponent this week, big opponent next week. So we're hitting the middle part, meat of our schedule. So we gotta step up now.
Well, just going back to the last couple of weeks, that can prepare you for the playoff push going into October and November. And, like you mentioned, you got 2 tough games coming up. Let's kind of, start off with who you got on Friday. You got a tough place to go play in Meigs County, a name non-region matchup. So, a battle of unbeatens, and it's not just that, it's also the first time, Coach, that Signal Mountain has started this season 3-0 since 2014. So that's something to be commended for there. And, the kids as well. And like you said, it's a culture thing and kind of the training. And I think they're definitely responding to that as well. So kind of give us your thoughts on going up to Decatur and taking on Coach Fitzgerald's Meigs County squad Friday.
Yeah. Going from last week into this week, we had a lot of young guys that hadn't started the first 2 games at all that had to start this past week. So we had 5 guys. Some of them were sophomores, 3 of them were freshmen, and they played the whole game. And so, everybody was sitting there going, what do we got to get these guys out? What are we going to do? And I'm looking at it from the head coach's standpoint of going, win the game. And now we've got depth all of a sudden to where we didn't have depth before. And so, going up to Meigs, Coach Fitzgerald does a great job, as he always has. And, watching film, they've only had 1 game, against Sweetwater, but, they handled their business in the way I expected them to. And, it's going to be a tough one, for us. And, the big thing is in the time I've been here at Signal has been, physicality. And so part of me, I wanted to, to get that game because, they're a good opponent, and they're physical. And, so, we'll have to get in there and mix it up with them. And so, you put up against the ropes, you got to decide what you're going to do. And, and so we're going up there and we're going to bring out all the guns and go at it with them. And, I tell the kids all the time, let chips fall where they will. Just go out there and play hard and, and enjoy playing, because right now with everything that's going on week to week, we're, you never know when you're going to get to play again. So it is kind of bringing a little excitement that, you don't know. It's like a playoff week each week right now, so we'll go up there. It's our first road game too. So it'll be a big test, to go up there. It's a hostile environment, and so it's I've got some friends on their staff. One of the guys used to coach with us. So it'll be fun to go up there. I like non-region games too, because it's just go play. It's not playoffs or anything riding on it. It's just go play football and, and have fun and get after it.
Before we let you go, talk a little bit about the military tribute you all did before the game. I was in the stands. I took my headset off, and it was really moving. Talk a little bit about that and how it kind of originated.
Yeah, we started it back in 2017 when I took over. It was not my idea. It was some of the parents, and so it was one of those things where there's so many people in our area that have served. I've got family members and everything, and it's one of those things that I think as Americans sometimes we take it for granted a little bit. Exactly what everybody's done for us, and these kids these days, they weren't alive for 9/11. They're like the 20th anniversary, and they're looking around going, and so it's good for them to stand there and in a time when there's a lot of people who are, America's divided and all this stuff. It's good to for everybody to stand there and forget who you are. You're an American, and to be proud of those men and women who've served and some of them have paid the ultimate price, for us. And it's just a really good night. And, it's one of those things that right around 9/11, we do it each time, and we'll continue to do it as long as I'm there.
It's great.
It was great. I really enjoyed it. I had the 21 gun salute and everything. It was fantastic.
I had I was on the telephone with a guy in New Jersey when those planes hit the towers, and he was looking out his window and he could see it. He could actually see it. I remember it to this day. And I flipped the TV on there in the coach's office. And anyway, I went up to the office, and our principal was a Vietnam veteran. And just almost immediately, people started talking about, we're going to cancel this. We're not going to play Friday night. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. He said, no. He said, nothing like that's going to shut down anything we do. And, I thought it not only taught me a lesson, but it taught, it taught our kids a lesson. Something like that's is not gonna shut down our situation, our things that we're going to do, and that was very impressive, and I really appreciate it. And I congratulate y'all with that.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Bubba, we appreciate you coming on, and good luck the rest of the way. Is there anything else you want to talk about the program?
I didn't hear that last part. Sorry.
You got anything else you want to talk about your program?
No, just in case our kids hear it and stuff, I just want them to know, how proud this coaching staff is of our guys, and we'll go to war with them any day, and we may not always be the best team on the field, but we're gonna fight you to the very end, and I tell the coaches if there's one thing people say is, it doesn't matter the outcome, that if Signal Mountain's on the field, then you better get ready, because we're going to stay after you until the very end. And so we're just proud of the thing we're building here, and we'll continue to build, and hopefully got some good things in store, and big night Friday night. So everybody come on out to Meigs County and watch a good football game.
Indeed. I agree.
Go get them. Keep on the road.
That's the plan.
Thank you for joining us, Josh.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Well, that was a great segment. We definitely appreciate Coach Roberts coming on. Looking forward to the next segment. We've got Coach Brown from Red Bank coming on, and we'll be right back on the Friday Night Press Box presented by Team FYN Sports. All right, welcome back to the Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Press Box presented by Team FYN Sports. Definitely pleased to be joined now by Coach Brown from Red Bank. Coach, how are you tonight? Coach, I think is your mic muted?
Oh, can you hear me, guys?
There it is.
Hey, there we go. No, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here tonight.
Absolutely. Jeff, Kate, I want you to one of the reasons we have Coach Brown on, I want you to go ahead and introduce that.
Well, obviously, Coach, this Friday, well, let's just kind of talk about your season so far. I mean, we only had one game so far, and, I try to think back to the teams we cover in this area. I can't think of a team who had more COVID, related issues. It wasn't necessarily, you guys, but you had games canceled last year. You had the game with Ottawa canceled this year, but just kind of talk about that first game and kind of, I guess, handling that adversity. We talk about how adversity and overcoming that has been a Red Bank staple since you've been there. Just kind of talk about, I guess, the first game you've had and kind of how you guys been gearing up and ready for whenever you're ready to hit the field next.
Well, we are well equipped to deal with schedule changes. I will say that about a bunch. No, I mean, when you open the season with a quality opponent like Cleveland, especially first game of the year, immediately you get your weaknesses exposed, and you learn what you have to get better at and how quickly you have to get better at it. The problem is when they say that you make your best improvements from week 1 to week 2, well, we've had a long time to wait for that second game to get better. But, through no fault of anybody's, we certainly try to go out and find another opponent. I'll brag on our kids and our coaching staff. I mean, we just went out and made the most of what we could the last 2 weeks. And, we feel like we've addressed a lot of areas of concern and gotten healthier and gotten some guys back and ultimately just gotten coached up. And we're just excited to go out and actually have an opponent on Friday.
Well, that opponent Friday is probably Red Bank's most historical rivalry in school history. Is Saudi Daisy. We call it the battle for Highway 27 or whatever you want to call it. But there's a lot of history in this game. Great coaches, great players, and just kind of talk about that rivalry and that series that you and Coach Barnes still continue to this day. It's good to see. We see rivalry sometimes go away for whatever reason, but it seems like there is a mutual respect between. I mean, you guys want to beat each other for sure, but it seems like there's always been a mutual respect between both programs, and I guess that continues today. I'm sure, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Just speaking on my side of it, I mean, when you keep a team like that on the schedule before they were a region opponent, you're keeping a high quality, well coached, high execution ball club on the schedule, which is going to make you better, especially when Coach Barnes is at the helm. And then now that it's turned into a region game, you have the alumni, you have the fan base, you have the tradition of such a deep-rooted rivalry, plus you have the pressure of this is a game that has playoff implications right now here in week 4. So all that's done is just amplified our focus and what I think is going to create an even better atmosphere on Friday.
No doubt. Well, speaking of that atmosphere, let's kind of talk about what's coming up, this Friday as well. Obviously, last year was the 20-year anniversary of the 2000 state championship team for the Lions. And, as a student at Ottawa High School, we saw that quite a bit, like that Red Bank dominance that year for sure. But, I can't think of a better game at Red Bank Community Stadium to have this team recognized than this game right here. Like you mentioned, playoff implications, region rivalry, and rivalry altogether. Just kind of talk about what's going to be involved with this 20-year celebration for the 2000 state championship Lion football team?
Well, it's taken a year in the making. We wanted to do it right, and even though we're still working under COVID restrictions, it's still a lot better than it would have been last year. So we're excited to come back and honor that team, and that we obviously have the banner in the stadium, and our kids get to look at every Thursday and Friday, and understand that what they're representing is a lot deeper than themselves, and it goes back decades, and it really does have a championship ring in the background, everything that they do. So we're excited to have those guys back and celebrate them properly on Friday. Now, as to the specifics, I hope no one takes offense to me saying I have no idea. I'm trying to beat a really good Saudi Daisy team. We're trying to get out of the goose egg in our win column. I don't think anybody would take offense to me saying my focus has been on preparing those kids in the locker room, not
at all.
The ones that won the whole thing 21 years ago.
Coach, I've got a question.
Sure.
And I ran into this a few years ago. For some reason, our schedule had back-to-back open dates. I was the offensive coordinator. And it's literally 3 weeks before you can play. How have you – I didn't handle it well. I mean – I had 487 plays put in the offense, just trying to keep them interested in what we were doing. Not really, but it's kind of hard, isn't it? It's very difficult because you don't know when to go hard, when to ease up. Am I being too easy on them? Are they? It's difficult. And how do y'all handle it?
Well, when you play as poorly as we felt like we played our first game of the year, and you've got plenty of film to serve as motivation for why we have to go out and have another 2-hour practice, it helps. And Cleveland had a lot to do with it. I'm not taking away from anything from their victory, but, a lot of that first week back, see, we were preparing for Ottawa that whole second week. Yeah. And that announcement came late. It actually came, I think, after our Tuesday practice. So we had to kind of manage some emotions there for the back end of that week, but for the most part, we had put that work in. Now coming into our bye week, that we always felt like we could find an opponent. We always thought that we were going to be able to pick up an actual 10th game and not have to accept that forfeit. So it put a little more urgency on our kids to be prepared. We said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So a lot of what we did that week before we knew an opponent was just to get better at us, execute things better than we had at the first week of the season. And I really will brag on our kids. They did that. They stayed the course. They got better at the fundamentals. And it wasn't until late in the week that we realized, well, we're just not going to be able to pick up an opponent that meets on our terms, that we felt really the weight of it. But, great coaching staff and kids being kids, they're resilient. They bounce back. And then we got to Monday's practice, and then it was that old Men in Black flash, like, boom, whoo, okay, good. We got a team. All right, we can go. Like, it's Monday, getting ready for a game week. So we didn't experience a whole lot of that lull, but some of that was just this ever-present, we're going to be able to find somebody. We're going to play on Friday. And we tried everything we could to make that happen. But so I hope that answered your question.
It becomes difficult. It's just like you were saying, you get a game canceled and you think, I can get one. And one friend of mine got a game, but it was like on Tuesday. And, I asked him, I said, how do you game plan for this? I mean, part of game planning is not only to beat the opponent, but I mean, they may run a blitz package or something right there. If you're not ready for it, you get hit in the mouth and lose your quarterback or whatever.
No, right.
And, I mean, it's you guys. I'm talking about all you guys. That's something I never had to go through. Having to do all this schedule switching and this, that, and the other. But, I never did like. I asked our head coach, I said, please don't get us 2 weeks off again.
Smart man.
It was good for us. We was able to break ourselves down and get some more people ready, week or so, set some of our kids out of practice and, maybe get a quarterback more ready or
right.
a lineman or whatever. But my hat's off to you guys. That'd drive me crazy.
I wasn't very fun to be around. My wife's on the couch laughing. She knows I was it was not good. Not a great sentiment from the top down, but we managed and here we are. We got one more practice and it's go time.
We had I'll tell one story. We had a playoff game one year and McMinn Central hadn't been in the playoffs in, I think 12 years. And we got a team that was 1-9. And they got in the playoffs at 1-9. I mean, it wasn't my fault, wasn't their fault,
right?
But they actually called up on Wednesday and said we're thinking about calling TSSAA and forfeited.
Oh man!
And I mean, we had a home playoff game. Tennessee was playing Notre Dame on that afternoon. People were going to the Tennessee game. They were coming back to McMinn Central, and everybody's all hyped up. And I just said, no, you can't do this. You can't do this. Community is jacked up to play, and they were wanting to call off a playoff game, and I was like you said, I was miserable, and everybody around me was miserable for the next day or two. But go ahead.
I'm sorry, Coach. I obviously with the you shouldn't have to worry about what your opponent will be based on kind of the COVID stuff going on. Kind of talk about. I'm sure your upperclassmen are able to handle a lot of things that normally you be doing that to kind of keep the team motivated together. Just kind of talk about some of those guys. I mean, obviously, being around the program. Anybody that's been keeping up Red football, obviously, the Blackman brothers, and then you got Rico Trimble and obviously Crutcher. Just kind of talk about some of those guys and those upperclassmen and kind of the leadership that they've shown, not just this year with the cancellation, but just last year as well, because that definitely has given them plenty of experience on how to handle that kind of adversity off the field. You know what I mean? Yeah,
very true. I think we talked about it some last year, and it's with the playoff runs that we've been able to make over the last 3 years. Some of our kids have played a full season longer than most other people's. So, I mean, even our rising seniors who may not have been big time players last year, honestly, over the course of their career, they played a whole extra year. They've had an extra, 7, 8, 9 weeks of practice than other teams have. So that maturity, maybe not necessarily in age, but that maturity and experience has really paid off for us. It did last year with our patience and our I guess just being able to accept circumstances that were not in our control.
Sure.
And it's bled over into this year as well. I mean, we don't really have a whole lot of, roller coasters as far as how practices go, because we have a whole lot of guys who have seen a lot in their 3 to 4 year career. And I have to throw in the Gustus brothers. We have 2 twin brothers that have been 3-year starters on the offensive and defensive line. When you have those guys spread out amongst your positions, if there were to creep in some woe is me, how can this be? Those guys don't allow it, because somewhere in the course of their career, they've lived through worse. And they've seen the success on the other side of it. So we're blessed to have that kind of leadership. And we've been very fortunate to, at the collegiate level, we call that bowl practices. We've had so many extra practices and reps for these guys. And we hope that continues, honestly. But that's really benefited us over the last 2 years.
You don't like to single out players or kind of like that kind of stuff. I know you don't like to single out guys, but a lot of your guys, well, some guys on your team are getting some college looks.
Yes, sir.
Kind of talk about those guys and talk about them.
Well, it's at Red Bank during my tenure. I've been really blessed. It started with Calvin Jackson when I got here. I don't take any credit for his recruitment. I just kind of walked into a whole bunch of college coaches who were very interested in a talented young man. But we've gotten used to having our guys evaluated. We've gotten used to our phone calls and emails actually landing and creating interest. So for our kids, I don't want to say it's old hat, because it's never old hat. It's life-changing opportunities in front of our kids. But we are fortunate to have felt that over the last 4 years. The Gustus brothers are generating a lot of interest. Del Monte Gustus is a rock star in the classroom. The Blackman's athleticism is drawing interest from the Division II, Division III, and high level. And Alrico Trimble has proven himself to be one of the better players in the state of Tennessee, any classification. And that, like it has each year, that bleeds down. So now a lot of our talented juniors and sophomores are getting a level of exposure that they wouldn't have otherwise. And that is the same thing that happened for these kids. So, when Calvin was making plays, a young man named Lucas Brown and Clark Lockerbie were making plays. And then it bled down to BJ Ragland, just guys that you guys know about from covering us over the years. But we're watching that trickle down into the next group of Red Bank playmakers and offensive and defensive linemen.
We appreciate you coming on and taking time to spend with us.
Oh, pleasure.
You want to talk about your program before we let you go?
I'm sorry, I missed that last bit.
Is there anything about your program that you want to talk about?
I say it over and over again. I am at this point, I'm the 6th best head coach on my own staff. I'm incredibly blessed to have an awesome coaching staff, top to bottom. I have great kids to work with. I have an administration that anyone would die to work for in any part of the country. So my job is to go out and manage the best I can and not be a deficit to my program where so many other things are going right. So if I ever have the opportunity, I want to brag on my kids, my family, my community, my administration, and my coaches, because they're the ones that deserve credit. So I appreciate the opportunity and the platform to come on and talk about them. So thank you, guys.
It's turned down.
Well, Coach Brown, thank you for coming on, and good luck against Saudi Daisy and the rest of the way and this New Look region. That's great to kind of have all these local teams back in the same region. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of exciting games going down, going into September and October. So thank you again for coming on, and appreciate the time.
Hey, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys. Go Lions.
Thank you, Coach Brown.
Sir.
That was Coach Brown from Red Bank. Man, it's good to have him on. Talk about the celebration that they're going to have this week. Looking ahead to the next segment, we're going to have a preview for next week. So make sure to stay right there on Southeast Tennessee Friday Night Press Box, presented by Team F Lion Sports. All right, welcome back to the Friday Night Pressbox podcast presented by Team FYN Sports. Guys, a full slate of games this week. Not many COVID restrictions so far. Now, we do record this on Wednesday nights. Be aired on Thursday nights, so not many that we know of, if any. Jeff, do you know of any COVID?
Well, yeah, knock on wood, I have not seen the first cancellation yet. But obviously, like you said, this thing is recorded on Wednesday night, so anything can happen between now and Friday afternoon, even because we have seen games called on Friday afternoon before kickoff. And I know guys like Coach Brown doesn't. Obviously, all coaches don't like that at the very end, but obviously, there's really no there's no rhyme or reason or procedure for this. It's kind of wait and see type situation. So. Yeah, so far so good. It looks like we're going to have a full Friday night of games. I know we got a few teams around here that have off weeks, like planned off weeks. So, but there are still some pretty interesting matchups to keep an eye on going into Friday night.
So a few of those games are South Pittsburgh at Murphy, North Carolina. North Carolina, a perennial power in North Carolina.
I mean, state championship team right there. And, I think we've seen that. We've talked about it on this podcast before about kind of how, when Coach Jones came in to take over, obviously they lost the Marion County series, but when you had teams like Murphy, North Carolina, North Jackson, Alabama, which is right down the road from them, and an Oakland 6A powerhouse, that just shows that, he's wanting his players and his program to play the best week in and week out, and should be a great matchup. And I know that a few people are talking about this matchup around here, and hopefully it stays on the schedule, and we'll see how the Pirates stack up against one of the best teams in North Carolina right there. So,
yeah, that's great. And like we said earlier, Signal Mountain is at Meigs County, so we put that one. McMinn Central goes down 4-11 to Polk County. Coach down Polk County's they've got it rolling. Polk County's finally, they've got some wins under their belt. McMinn Central's winless on the year. McMinn Central's probably got the better talent. Polk County's riding that emotional high. This game should be pretty good.
I think it's going to be one of the greatest, one of the finest games in Southeast Tennessee. Polk County has really improved. I think McMinn Central's just right there at the cusp, stepping over into winning a football game, and I think it's going to be great. I don't know what changes Polk County has made, but they're putting up some points and they're playing good defense.
Yeah, Polk County is – I don't want to say that they've shocked me, but they've shocked me. Not a lot of people would have said that they would have been 3-0 going into that McMinn Central game. Here they are 3-0, and you've got to give that coaching staff and those players credit.
Well, you have to. After the year they had last year, I'll just be honest with you. I wasn't very impressed with them last year, but I've seen a little bit of some clips on them, and Coach Brewer and his staff has done a great job. I think he's got, if I'm not mistaken, he's got the principal, Ronnie German, out there as one of his coaches, and I coached with Ronnie, and Ronnie's a great football coach, and that's great, But I think it's going to be a good football game. I don't know what they're doing on offense, but they're putting up some points.
It's not the split back veer, but it's wing T-ish. I mean, they're not spread. They're not spreading it out. I think they're just running over, around, and through people. I think that's really what they're doing.
Well, I will tell you this. Coach German was on the staff at McMinn County with us over there. And previous to Coach Molinax coming in, they ran the split back veer. And, you get somebody that's pretty good with that and some kids that can run it good. I think it'd be tough on defenses of today because not many people run it. And that's the only one I've seen in the past 4 or 5 years that run that type of offense.
And it's just like in the college world. There's not many. You ran into Georgia Tech at the college level there for a long time. It was tough on defenses.
Yeah.
It was real tough. You just don't see it. And most of the time, you've only got 1 week to prepare for it, and that's tough.
Well, that defensive coach has got to get somebody on quarterback or dive quarterback and pitch every time, and it's something that you don't see. It's something that you do not see. prior to me going to, or when I first went to Fannin County, they ran that Georgia Tech double slot thing, and it was ugly. We had a quarterback that was a magician with that thing. Had a fullback that would hit it up in there, and I mean, just kids love to block, and they love to do it, and they just they executed it well. So apparently, I think Polk County has really grown up.
We've talked about Friday Daisy and Red Bank a little bit with Coach Brown. Jeff, that's going to be a great game, down there at Red Bank Memorial.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of – I'll be interested to kind of see how this game kind of develops. Obviously, Saudi Daisy has not won a game on the year yet. They're 0-3 on the year, but I know that Coach Barnes will be, during the week and leading up to this game saying, hey, you guys have an opportunity to go into somebody else's house and ruin not only this home game, this rivalry region game for them, but also, like he talked about, the recognition of that state championship team as well. So it'll be a great atmosphere there at Red Bank Community Stadium Friday night, and just like any rivalry game, anything can happen for sure. And I thought Coach Brown's answer was funny. So, we asked him kind of what the festivities were going to be like. He's like, I have no idea. I'm prepared for the Trojans. That's why I love that answer. That's definitely a coach answer for sure. And I'm definitely glad he said that for sure, because obviously we hear the coach speak and the politically correct stuff, what we want to hear, but I appreciate the honesty. That means he's serious and get ready for because like he said also, this is only the second game they've had in the season so far due to the cancellations and the off week that was built in already. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out and come at Saudi Daisy on Friday.
I had an instance up at Copper Basin where the school was Copper Basin came into being a school in 1957, and they invited all the homecoming queens from 1957 to I don't know whenever 2000 or whatever. They was about 45 or 50 of them. But that was one of the things that I said, there was a radio show and they asked me that, what's all the festivities? And I said, my main job is to win a football game and make those people happy going home rather than, that was my job. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not even going to be out there to see it. I might see a video of it, but, all the other extracurricular activities, the head coach can't get hung up in.
You can be a part of it, but you don't want to be hung up in it. That's not your main focus for the week.
Oh, I know it. And that's because we always preach to our kids, look, homecoming, enjoy it. At 3:00 in the afternoon on Friday, you gotta focus in, because if you lose this football game, we're going to be the laughing stock, of this community.
Man, Bradley Central goes on the road and plays McMinn. Bradley Central coming off of a big win against Cleveland. McMinn coming off of a loss to Ray County. And Coach Floyd mentioned this last week. Those guys at McMinn do not like Bradley Central. They do not like Bradley Central at all. So a big rivalry game being played at McMinn County this week, guys.
Like you also mentioned last week, this will be the third, quote, rivalry game for Bradley Central, dating back to the second game against, at Walker Valley. They got a big win there, obviously a big win at Cleveland last week. And, this is another game where they got to go on the road, be road warriors, and go into a tough place to play McMinn County. That's a scene where, in covering games and going there for games as a student during high school where, a lot of season, preseason outlooks have gone down the toilet, or the other team has had success. So I know Bradley Central is going to be looking to continue the momentum they had, and like I mentioned in the review from last week's games, they faced a little bit of adversity. That was the first time they had trailed all year at halftime, and they found a way to come back and win. I want to see if they get put in that same position, how they kind of because they'll have those lessons learned from those first three games, especially last week, that they can rebound and come back on the road and get a victory. So, looking forward to seeing that matchup as well, and leading into the first home game with the new turf that's being installed at Bradley Central High School. I know it's almost finished, and I know they're going to be excited to add another layer to the or another cog in the wheel that makes Bradley Central football go around and is very strong. So we'll see what happens.
And like Coach Floyd said, that new turf at Bradley Central is going to be nice. It's going to be about the perfect backdrop, for at playing level. It's going to make that stadium really stick out. It's going to be really nice.
I've been looking at some pictures as they're putting together. Finishing touches. It's beautiful, absolutely, and it's one of the greatest things that I ever played on the last 10 years that I coached. That was the greatest things that I've ever dealt with, and so McMinn and Bradley, they're not in the same region anymore, right?
Nope, they are not. Cleveland and Bradley Central are the only local teams in that 6A region with Maryville and teams like that up in Knoxville. But McMinn's in the new 5A region. You have teams like Walker Valley, Ottawa, Ray County, the Cherokees, and Howard. So that's the new 5-team 5A region in this area. So
I've been very impressed with Bradley. I really have. They are a very good football team. And as we talked to Coach Cagle a few weeks ago, they're young and they're battling, and I think they're going to get better as the year goes along.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I probably got to get a few games under the belt. Those young guys, and like you said, they might be pressing right now because the expectation at McMinn County is to win. To win football games. So they're probably pressing right now, and I think they'll be fine as the season goes along. Walker Valley is on the road at Knox Carter. We'll hit that just a little bit. Walker Valley coming off of a 48-7 win over Ottawa. Ottawa, that's the first time they had lost to Walker Valley in school history. So Walker Valley making a little bit of history in that Ottawa win. I don't know much about Knox Carter, but I know about Walker Valley, and I know that they're going to score points. Knox Carter.
Yeah, the only thing I know about Carter is they got some sharp looking uniforms and helmets, like a chrome, a matte black helmet with a chrome looking yellow, logo on the side, so they look good for sure. But I do know that I don't think they've lost a game all year either. I have to go back and look at that in depth. But that's gonna be a tough go for a Coach Aikens' team to go on the road and get a big win. It's a non-region game, so it's just finding, like we've heard these coaches for, it's finding. When these teams are having success like Walker Valley has in the last several years, it's tough for them to find non-region games for teams that, willing to do home and homes with them, and they got to go up to Knoxville and find these games. So we'll see how Coach Aikens' squad is able to kind of, obviously, they were disappointed with the game against Bradley Central a couple weeks ago. They obviously rebounded with a big win over Ottawa, and we know Ottawa's still going through some growing pains. They've had some COVID issues as well. So, we'll see if they're able to kind of keep that momentum going at Carter. And I think that would be a very competitive, very close, probably high-scoring game, knowing the way Walker Valley puts up points or is used to putting up points. So good luck to the Mustangs on Friday night, no doubt about it.
Jeff, you mentioned something in there that nice helmets. Go ahead and plug, or just tell me about your little helmet thing you got going on there.
The little helmet thing right here definitely is a little. It's mini helmets. I partnered with a company last fall called 97 Sports Promotions, and they pretty much make customized football, baseball, and softball mini helmets. So as you can see, we've done several. I can see right there, Saudi Daisy right there, the Coca-Cola Red Zone, that's one right there, and then that's the Silverdale Seahawks right there. We've done projects with probably almost 100 programs in the state of Tennessee in the last couple years. So. Whether you're looking for, end of year banquet gifts, senior gifts, special awards. I mean, we do them for businesses too. I've seen, it could be like for a bank just to sit on the counters, at the teller window when you go into the inside the bank branch. We've done projects like that for people, and I do know that it's just the business continues to grow. The quality, they're all handmade, hand decaled by hand, so. It's not going down the assembly line and not being touched by anybody. It's made in the state of Tennessee, sold by Tennesseans. And, obviously, we love promoting, just like this podcast, we love promoting these local programs, and we like bringing the helmets that you see on Friday nights to life. So, if I appreciate the plug. Just if you're interested in anything like this, definitely send me an email, jeff@97sports.net. I'd be glad to take care of that. And you can see kind of a more of a wider, selection of the things we've done on the website 97sportspromotions.com. And the business continues to grow. So if any way we can help you guys, anybody out there, whether it's for your business, special event. I know we've done helmets for like chili cook-offs, fantasy football leagues. So anything you can think of in your brain, we can make it become reality. And definitely just another way to kind of plug in the Friday Night Football thing we do in this podcast as well. So definitely a great thing. And something, obviously, the fertilizer and like the mulch cells and stuff are great. That's stuff you can use around the house. But, these things can last, forever and sit on your mantle to show your school pride, not just pride in your school, but your business as well. So definitely reach out. Jeff.
Coach Stone, how cool is that?
I've seen them, like Tennessee, Alabama, and those things. But those things are awesome. I may have to get in touch with you.
Coach Stone, how many helmets would you need if you got one helmet from each school you were at?
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, about 5.
About 5.
Well,
that would be neat. That would be neat, Coach Stone. Just put them up on the mantle. That'd be neat.
Well, let me just say real quick, Coach Stone, we have had coaches in the past, before I started working with Doug Carter at 97 Sports Promotions, but we have had coaches, players, wherever they go, they've gotten – we've had a customer, I think, probably get 5 to 10 from like his coaching and playing stops from high school, college, and back to his high school coaching days. So, definitely hit me up. We could definitely, look at options and get you set up for sure. Something in that background right back there. So
Jeff's going to tell me you got to buy 48.
I mean, 50 is where we start, but we can negotiate, right?
I tell you, those are. I used to have one on my desk, and everybody come in my office and pick it up and say, "I'd like to have one of those." Let's find out. Let's make it a fundraiser or something. And
yep.
And it is great. It is one of the neatest things. But I hadn't seen many high school helmets.
Well, and see, that's kind of where we kind of, where it kind of sets apart. You're not going to go to your Academy Sports in Chattanooga and find a Hickson High School or a Red Bank High School, mini helmet. I mean, obviously, it's. We like bringing these things to life. You're not going to see them anywhere else. And actually, we do. Speaking of fundraisers, Coach, there are fundraising opportunities involved with this company. We're actually doing one with Saudi Daisy right now. That helmet and the back in the 90s, like the gold helmet with the interlocking SD from back in the days. That's kind of a throwback they're doing as well. So all that information is on the website. If you order up until Friday at midnight, a portion of the proceeds for those Saudi Daisy helmets go directly back to the program. So, what better way to show your Saudi Daisy pride than buying a helmet and supporting your school at the same time? I know Red Bank's done stuff with us in the last few weeks, and we're working on more. So, the momentum train keeps rolling. And, the main thing is we want to just, help schools and whoever wants to buy a helmet out and just give them something to remember and a high quality keepsake that you'll keep around for a long time for sure.
It's not one of those things where like they used to throw out the mini footballs, are they?
Oh no. Let me just pull one of these off for him, and you can hear.
Oh, I know it.
I mean, it's if any of those things get tossed out in the crowd, it's going to cause some damage. So
it might need an insurance claim.
I need to look into that. I really would. One of my projects when I was coaching was I would take an old helmet that we were getting ready to get rid of and make a lamp out of it.
That's awesome.
I think I had 4 lamps, with McMinn County, McMinn Central, Copper Basin, everywhere my wife would make one.
Well, our friend Tim Tao has had some Fannin County helmets made for him, and I know we've done McMinn County High School for you customers as well. So we do current stuff like the ones above me, and I know my dad was a player back in the 70s at Tyner High School. We did a throwback for his old high school helmet, the white helmet with the maroon ram horns.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get that for my own collection just because of how awesome it looks. But yeah, if you have a picture of any helmet, whether it's black or white, as long as you have a picture in the colors, we could definitely match it to scale and get as close to the real thing as we can. That way, because a lot of those helmets, from back when people played, you can't find those anymore. And so, what better way to keep it? And it saves space, and it's just a great looking product. And we're definitely proud of what we can do for, like I said, not only business but schools around the state and the country as well. We got customers in many different states across the United States.
That's really neat. That's cool. Jeff, have you all decided on the Coca-Cola Red Zone game of the week yet?
We have, and actually, it's going to be discussed on the Georgia show. But we are going to go into the Peach State this week. Ringgold is taking on North Murray, so both teams are undefeated. We've never been to North Murray. That's kind of a newer school, and looking forward to that game. Ringgold won the first 5 in that matchup, but North Murray has reeled off 4 straight wins, and so with a win on Friday night, the Mountaineers can tie the all-time series. So we're going down to the Peach State, but definitely keeping an eye on. That Meigs County Signal Mountain game and the Bradley Central McMinn County. I say those 2 are definitely our games of the week as far as this area. But plenty to choose from. But that'll be our game of the week on the Red Zone Friday night, 8 to 11 on 102.3 Talk Radio, WGOW.
That's great. And I will be on 99.5 FM WYGO covering McMinn Central at Polk County. So you can tune in. Coverage starts at 7 o'clock, kickoff set for 7:30, and we'll have the Matt Moody show at 7, and then the Charger kickoff show at 7:15.
I'd like to throw out, I'm going to be at Fannin County in southeast Whitfield. My youngest son is they're honoring the all-decade team, and he's the quarterback on that team. So I'd like to congratulate Trevor for being on that team, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
And going up the mountain to see them play and go to that ceremony. That'll
be a good time, Coach. Make sure you give Tim Taus a hard time for us.
Oh, I may sit right behind him. It's third day. I believe that's what he does.
Just screaming in his ear the whole day. I love it.
That'll be good, guys. A good show and another good show. It seems like I say that every week, but I really do think these are good shows, and I hope that the viewers are liking these.
Yeah, for sure. And, definitely want to thank Coach Brown and Coach Roberts for just taking time to, out of their busy game weeks prepping for, Meigs County and Salty Daisy. I know they're getting ready for battle, but we definitely appreciate those guys giving us 15 to 20 minutes to kind of not only talk about the game, but also highlight their programs. Because, like we talked about, Wes, this is why we're here is to shine more of a spotlight on these programs, because ultimately that's what Friday nights are all about, is these programs and these communities. So we definitely want to thank Coach Brown and Coach Roberts again for joining us. That was definitely some good conversation for sure.
Super.
It was great. So listeners, make sure you like the post, you share them, and then listen to all. You can listen to these all on any podcast, Apple, Spotify, and any other podcast platform that you choose to use. So, guys, make sure you like it and share it for us. We do greatly appreciate that. In this week's episode on the Friday Night Pressbox Southeast Tennessee podcast presented by Team F Wine Sports. Thanks, guys.
See you. Good night.
See you guys.